In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 4 rules of semen retention. Okay, now the first thing you need to understand is that semen retention is not the same thing as NoFap. Okay, NoFap is no porn, no masturbation, no orgasm, and it's really the purpose is to rewire the negative side effects that pornography has had on your brain. Okay, I've made a bunch of different videos on this. I'll link out to them below up here as well. But the first thing that you really need to understand in order to truly gain the benefits from semen retention is that ejaculation is not the same thing as orgasm. Okay, they're actually 2 different biological processes, and the more we can increase our awareness in separating between both of these things, the more we can cultivate our sexual energy, feel that orgasmic energy, channel it throughout our bodies, and experience higher levels of states of being without depriving our life force energy. Okay, so that is really the first thing to understand. And when I'm talking about semen retention in this context, in the context of this video, what I am actually referring to is the Taoist practice of sexual kung fu. Okay, now kung fu are 2 words that come from Chinese. Kung means skillful work and fu means time spent. Okay, so sexual kung fu is a series of practical tools, of guidelines, of strategies that the Taoist masters have been studying for millennia, for like 2,000 years, and they have been providing it to the followers of Taoism, and now modern Taoist masters like Mantak Chia are sharing it with the general public. And the premise is really that sexual kung fu is a method for increasing health, for increasing longevity, for harmonizing the masculine and feminine polarities within us, and as a means towards spiritual transformation as well. Okay, as I have talked about in previous videos, the Taoist standpoint was not to make a moral judgment. It was not to prescribe what is right and what is wrong. It was all about increasing our energy levels, harmonizing our polarities of masculine and feminine within, so that we can go and transcend our ego, transcend our thought structures, transcend everything that does not serve us, and see reality for what it really is. And that is what I talk about when I refer to semen retention. Okay, it's actually sexual kung fu, because a lot of people are confused. A lot of men think that NoFap, semen retention, same thing, just go without women, MGTOW, right? Men going their own way, just leave society, leave women, leave everything, and just go out in nature and be all alone. But that's not my intention. That's not something for me. And if you're watching this video and you resonate with my content, then you would agree with me that this is about experiencing life for what it's worth. Okay, not depriving ourselves of what experiences we can have that allow us to have fun in this life, to cultivate deep relationships, to become all that we can be in service of something bigger than ourselves, to be a contributing member of society, rather than just letting everything go and saying goodbye to everything. Okay, this is not what we are here for. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive into the 4 rules of semen retention, the 4 rules of sexual kung fu. Okay, now the first rule is, of course, to retain your semen. A single ejaculation contains more than 500 million sperm cells. That's like enough to populate many countries many times over, and each time we let loose of that energy, the less we have available to spread that vitality through our own bodies. Okay, so obviously scientific analysis has revealed that semen contains a treasure trove of vitamins, minerals, hormones, proteins, so many valuable materials that when they are left through our body, there is not enough remaining for our body to use and channel throughout the rest of our system. Okay, so according to the Taoist thought, it was said that the more we can retain this life force energy, the more we can shift the focus of the body from actually producing this life force energy. Like the more we have available, the more we can allow that energy to flow to the other organs and other areas that need the vitality from it. Okay, so that's the first principle, is to retain your semen. Now, the second rule is something that I neglected for a long time, because when I was recovering from my pornography addiction, I just said no to everything. I said no to women. I said no to just any expression of my sexuality. And this is what led me to experience sexual frustration, anger, resentment, and just showing up not in alignment with the values that I wanted to embody. Okay, so the second principle of sexual kung fu, of semen retention, is that of sexual transmutation. Now, Napoleon Hill talked about this in a bunch of his books, how it is a principle of success, but the premise is simply to, first of all, once we are retaining that sexual energy, to transmute it, to channel it through our bodies. Okay, now Napoleon Hill did not provide the practical guidelines, which is something that I dove deep into the works of Mantak Chia for, but it is basically the transformation of the sexual energy. As this crow is calling me over here, getting pissed about the sexual energy because he's not getting some this winter. He's only about to do it in the summer, but I digress. It's all about using the sexual energy to channel it from your balls to your sacrum, up your perineum, up your spine, up to your words, your head, and then down the front of the body. Okay, in Taoist philosophy, this is known as the microcosmic orbit. Okay, it runs from the back of your body to the front, down the front. And also in the tantric philosophy, in the Ayurvedic philosophy, it's known as the chakras. I intend on making more videos about this, but this transmutation is really about channeling the energy throughout our bodies rather than letting it go out of our bodies. Okay, now the fourth principle, or rather the third principle of sexual kung fu, of semen retention, is that of balancing polarity. Okay, so this is not about male and female, this is about masculine and feminine. Okay, all of us, regardless of whether we are male and female, have masculine and feminine energies within us. And when we engage in the practice of seminal retention, when we engage in the practice of sexual kung fu, it's about having a connection with someone and channeling our energies to them and receiving the energies from them. Okay, so it's all about harmonizing the masculine and feminine energies within us. Now, the Taoists tell us that a large part of the conflict that arises between the battle of the sexes is because of one simple reason, which is that most men are sexually weaker than most women. Okay, think about it. A woman can receive her man for as long as she wants, but a man can only penetrate for as long as his erection allows him to do so. Okay, and this is the cause of a lot of conflict, lot of performance anxiety coming up, because we think we're supposed to perform in a certain way, we think we're supposed to pleasure a certain way, we think we're supposed to last a certain amount of time, and this anxiety of how we think we should behave, and this natural phenomenon of women being able to actually get energy from sex, to last however long that they want, have multiple orgasms naturally, and for men to not be taught in these areas, is what led the Taoist masters to actually create the whole practice of sexual kung fu, which empowers men with the ability to last as long as they would want, which empowers them with the ability to retain their semen, to not lose their life force energy, and actually retain it so that they can transmute it throughout their body and go on to balance the harmony of the masculine and feminine energies within them. Okay, and it really comes down to making the practice of sexual kung fu, like I said, it's skillful work, time spent on the skillful work. It's not going to happen it's not going to be something that comes to you automatically. There will be a bunch of practices. I'll make videos on what practices specifically you can engage in every single day, but understand that a large part of the reason that sexual kung fu actually came to be, why the Taoist masters put it together, is to address this battle of the sexes, because most men are unable to keep up with most women, which leads to this anxiety, which leads to this thinking of performance anxiety, excuse me, leads to the thinking that we have to perform a certain way, leads to the thinking that if we don't, then we're not much of men, and then society is programming us with a bunch of different ideas as well. So really, it's about balancing the harmony. It's about harmonizing the masculine and feminine energies within us, and a large part of that comes down to practicing the skills that allow us to last as long as we would want. Okay, so it's shifting. So it's making the shift from how long you can last to how much pleasure you can gain as well as provide to your partner. Okay, now the fourth rule of semen retention, the fourth rule of sexual kung fu, is that of avoiding sex without affection. Okay, because the Taoists tell us that sex without affection creates dependent relationships, it creates imbalances in your energy, and it leads to discontent at the end of the day. Okay, if all that you are wanting to get is sex, then you will not be able to experience the pleasure of giving love to your partner. Okay, if you are unable to give, and giving is really the secret to living at the end of the day. That's what I found in my own life and my own experiences. The more we can give with the intention to give, without the intention to like get something else, the more we experience joy, the more we experience fulfillment, and the deeper the relationship can go. And when both people are coming into the relationship to give, that is when we have a sum that is greater than its parts. Okay, if both people are coming into the relationship to get something, that is when it's a negative, toxic relationship that can really filter into other areas of your life as well. Okay, so I hope you found this valuable. Click a bunch of the buttons below if you liked it. Leave a comment below letting me know anything that you wanted me to make a video on right now. Any questions that you have, leave a comment below. Let me know your #1 takeaway as well. I respond to every single comment, and I always want to open up a discussion so I can understand what is going through your head right now as well. Okay, so with all that being said, this has been Saleem, and if you want to learn more about me and the work I have to offer, definitely click the link below on swallowing the red pill. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.